So you're running a distribution business on Oracle, and you've got this classic headache, right? You sell one product, but you're buying it from a whole bunch of different suppliers. How in the world do you track your costs and margins for each one of them accurately without just creating total chaos on the warehouse floor? Well, that's exactly what we're going to tackle today. We're breaking down 3 solid strategies to solve this puzzle, all inside Oracle eBusiness Suite. But first, let's get one thing straight. We need to reframe this whole challenge. It's not really about having too many SKUs. The real problem is one of identity. Your system, out of the box, doesn't actually know the unique identity of what's sitting on your shelves. Is that box from your domestic supplier? Is it the one you imported? Who did you actually buy it from? Answering that is the key to everything.
All right, let's paint a picture. And I'm sure this feels familiar to some of you. You've got one inventory item, but you buy it from 31 different suppliers, each with their own cost. If you can't tell those items apart in your warehouse, your profit reports are just, well, they're a mushy blended average at best. You're literally flying blind. And for a company that's trying to scale, that's just not going to cut it.
So, to get you that crystal clear visibility, here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll nail down this data identity problem. Then, we're going to walk through 3 potential solutions, what I call the lot level compromise, the controlled explosion, and the reporting layer fix. After that, we'll put them all side by side, and I'll wrap it all up with a straight-up executive recommendation. Okay, let's dive right in. Section 1, the data identity problem. Before we can even think about fixing something, we got to understand why it's broken, right? So why is this such a specific challenge inside Oracle? Well, it all boils down to how Oracle thinks about inventory at its very core. And this right here is the heart of it. Think of Oracle's inventory module like this. It identifies a product by its item number, its SKU, and that's pretty much it. It doesn't natively care if you bought SKU 123 from vendor A in Texas or vendor B in Taiwan. To the system, they are the exact same thing. So if we want to get smarter and track that vendor detail, we have to build our own solution right on top of this foundation. Okay, so that brings us to our first potential solution. We'll call this one the lot level compromise. The whole idea here is to embed the vendor's identity directly into the physical inventory that's sitting in your warehouse, and this is key, without messing up your nice, clean item master. So how do we pull this off? It's basically a 4-step move. First, you keep that single SKU, no changes there. Second, you flip the switch on full lot control for that item. Third, at receiving, you capture the vendor info right in the lot's attributes. And fourth, now listen up, because this is the secret sauce for your finance team. If you're using Oracle WMS, you use cost groups to keep the costs from different vendors separate, even though it's all the same SKU. And the massive advantage here, the big payoff for all this work? 0. A big, beautiful 0. That is the number of new SKUs you have to create. Your item master stays clean, simple, and manageable, which is a huge, huge win for your operations team. But, of course, there's always a trade-off. On the one hand, you completely avoid that SKU explosion, and you get the accurate margin reporting you've been dreaming of. On the other hand, your warehouse team's life just got a little more complicated. They now have to manage everything at the lot level. Picking isn't just grab one, it's grab one from this specific lot. All right, let's switch gears to strategy number 2, the controlled explosion. Now, it sounds a little dramatic, I know, but unlike our first option, this one attacks the problem head-on in the item master, and that word controlled is everything, it does it in a really structured way. Here's the architecture. Your customer, they only ever see and order one sellable parent SKU. That's it. But behind the scenes, in your inventory, you create separate child SKUs for your major vendors, like SKU 123 domestic or SKU 123 import. You link them all together with item relationships, and you absolutely have to automate this with templates and APIs to keep it from becoming a Wild West situation. And that word controlled is so important. We're not talking about creating a new SKU for every single item vendor combo. That would be an absolute disaster. You could end up with 80,000 new items overnight. No. The idea here is you only create these child SKUs where it really matters, which keeps the growth contained. The upside here is beautiful. You get surgically precise financial tracking. Your costs and margins are perfectly clean because they're tied to different items. But, and this is a really big but, the data governance overhead is massive. You basically need a team of data police to maintain this and make sure it doesn't spiral into chaos. It requires serious discipline. And that brings us to our third and final path, the reporting layer fix. You can think of this as the path of least resistance, operationally speaking. It basically kicks the complexity can down the road, out of your core Oracle modules and over to your business intelligence team. The process itself is super simple. You keep your one SKU, no lot control needed. When you receive a PO, you just capture the vendor info in a flex field. Then, way later, your BI team has to write some complex logic to stitch all the data together and try to calculate the margin after the fact. All the magic happens in the report, not in your ERP. And hey, just like option 1, the number of new SKUs you have to create is, you guessed it, 0. For your folks on the warehouse floor and your item master team, it is completely business as usual. Almost nothing changes for them day to day. So here's where you've got to be really careful. While this option is the easiest to get up and running, it comes with some major sacrifices. Your inventory is all physically jumbled together on the shelf. You literally have no way of knowing which box came from which vendor. That makes things like targeted recalls or quality control pretty much impossible. And your financial truth now lives outside your ERP, totally at the mercy of your BI logic being perfect. Okay, so we've looked at 3 really different ways to solve this problem. Each one has its own set of pros and cons. So how do you possibly choose? Well, let's put them in the ring, side by side in a decision matrix, and see how they really stack up against each other. So looking at this, the trade-offs just pop right out at you. See? If avoiding a SKU explosion is your number one fear, then options 1 and 3 are your friends. But if you need absolutely bulletproof margin accuracy and tight control in the warehouse, then you really have to look at options 1 and 2. And notice how option 3 just completely gives up on that warehouse control? It's obvious there's no perfect answer. It all comes down to what your business values most. And if we just look at the pain of getting this done, the implementation effort, the story is even simpler. No surprises here, right? The reporting fix, option 3, is the easy button. The controlled explosion, option 2, that's the mountain climb. And our lot level compromise, option 1, sits right there in the middle, giving you a really nice balance of power and effort. So after all that, after weighing all the pros and cons, what's the real strategic path forward? Okay, let's shift gears. Let's put on our executive hats. If you were asking me for a direct, no-nonsense recommendation for a growing distribution company, here is exactly how I would frame the final decision. At the end of the day, the choice really boils down to this contrast right here. Option 1, using those WMS cost groups gives you immediate and accurate financial tracking right where you need it without bloating your item master. Option 2 gives you that perfect, surgically precise data, but it comes at the cost of a massive, long-term data governance headache that you will have to manage forever. And for that reason, my recommendation for most scaling companies is that option 1 is the cleanest compromise. It does exactly what you need it to do. It keeps your item master simple while giving you the financial integrity you need, and it sets you up with a scalable foundation to grow on. It just strikes the absolute best balance between financial accuracy and operational agility. And so I'll leave you with this final, critical question that you have to answer for your own business. When it comes to your inventory's true identity, where are you going to manage it? In the physical reality of the warehouse, in the digital structure of the item master, or in the analytical world of a BI report? As we've seen today, the answer you choose will absolutely define your company's financial and operational future. Thanks for tuning in.